Hello, I am Sinner, and I am back with another book review. This time it is of a book that I only heard about thanks to reading good old Nima Pavini's The Populist Delusion. The book I am talking about is James Burnham's The Machiavellians, The Defenders of Freedom, not Freeman, Freedom. James Burnham's The Machiavellians, The Defenders of Freedom. Now, this book also kind of was not what I was expecting. This book was a book that was really, for all intents and purposes, a synopsis of other other elite theorists. So in that sense, it's really quite It's really quite the same actually as the populist delusion. It's just a better populist delusion, in my opinion. It it covers the ideas of elite theory and um, the concepts better. Um, and I think if I were, you know, had I known better, I would have just skipped. Uh, I would have just skipped the populist delusion and gone straight for James Burnham. Um, what is the book? Really, it's just the same thing. It's just you know, a lot of the early elite theorists, obviously, the book was written in the 1940s, so it doesn't cover the more modern elite theory written by Paul Gottfried. Um, but besides that, it's got everyone. It's got Pareto, it's got Mosca, it's also got Machiavelli, which is cool. Um, and there's a really awesome quote from the start of the book where he's covering what Machiavelli is saying, and he talks about how the establishment likes to not talk about Machiavelli because if you read Machiavelli, you would be deeply suspicious of the government, but the people, and everyone in power, not just the government, but everyone in power, you would be deeply suspicious of them. So people in power and in government have an incentive to play down Machiavelli, to be like, oh, don't read Machiavelli. You know, he says things like, the people in power are going to lie to you, and we would never do that. We're not like that. You know, he says that all we care about is maintaining our privileges. We care because we're good people. You know, and all this sort of stuff. And he's like, no, I think Machiavelli's right. I think you guys are all just liars and you know, yeah, I don't want to say dishonest because that's not quite it, but people are using their power to maintain their power, and the ruling class is using their power to stay in power. Now, one of the things which I really do need to read after looking at this book is um, The Managerial Revolution by James Burnham, and then I'm going to have to read Paul Gottfried, his works as well, and then become completely elite theory pilled, as the terminally online would say, elite theory pilled. Yeah, but I think you can probably, after reading two books, and basically calling myself an expert, after reading two books, I think you can probably pass on reading Mosca's The Ruling Class. It's not really worth it, in my opinion, because it seems to me that, yeah, the populist delusion's too small, it's too short, it's not very informative, frankly. No offense, Nima Pavini, but um, uh, the Machiavellians, the Defenders of Freedom, is far more detailed, and it's sufficiently detailed that you're not going to really need to read a 1,000-page tome, which is, Mosca's The Ruling Class, which I think, that's too much. That's too much. That's the Bible. You're going to be reading the Bible of political theory. Pass, pass. You'll be fine, probably, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's an interesting book, and it's, a lot of these books have really got me thinking about political theory and thinking about how I want to engage in it. And I think I've decided that, maybe a couple years down the line, I'm going to try write a book of my own covering political theory and how I think things ought to be and how things are and how things are and what is possible based on our current situation. But I still have a lot more to learn. Um, I think one thing which I would really disagree with the elite theorists is they're like Reddit atheist pilled. They're they're like Reddit atheists. They hate metaphysics and they hate morals. Well, they don't hate morals, but like they don't believe in morals or metaphysics or any of these other things. They sort of see it as like, they see like Christianity as basically just a lie that you tell yourself to justify, you know, why you need to go about your day or whatever. Um, and I think they're a bit too reductionist on things around religion and all that, which, you can hate it, you can love it, whatever, but that's just kind of it's sort of way too dismissive of philosophy and um, religious philosophy as well. And I think it's kind of it's kind of silly because you need philosophy in order to actually meaningfully make sense of the world to begin with. So, you know, that's just my opinion. Um, they sort of see it all as like posthumous or post hoc. I don't know which word's the right word to use there, but posthumously or post hoc irrational rationalizations, rationalizations after the fact. You make up the conclusion and then you bring in all the philosophy and all the thinking to bring it all together. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Um, yeah, I would just highly recommend it. Great book. I think elite theory is slept on. It's like a weird thing where no one outside of like very strange circles on the right seem to really bother to read it. But it's probably one of the most um, informative uh, theories or methods of understanding. But it's attempt to make politics scientific, which is obviously admirable. But yeah, it's very very strict, um, and it's very slept on. It's very strange. Not a lot of people. I would think it would be like more popular than it is, um, because it's a very out of. It's a right wing theory in practice, but it doesn't really need to be. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like I would think you would have left wingers talking about elite theory, but you don't really. It's very strange. I thought it would be like more of a cross. It'd be like Nietzsche or something like that. Where there's left wing and right wing Nietzscheans. But no, it's very strange. Um, but yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. I am Sinner. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.